hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. We are very happy to have you guys with us. Of course, we got ourselves a little bit of special here for you guys today. We have Nerdarchy with us, and we're going to be getting to Dave and Teresa in a moment. But really happy. I know this is a bit of a surprise, but decided to host it over here on my side today, so really happy about that, actually. Just keep in mind that, as usual, all our content, we have all our links down below. We definitely guys want you guys to go check that out and get involved, particularly on our FanSpeak page, which is on Facebook. Also, if you need to get a hold of me for any of the normal things, like the Drone and Quarter Fan Edition, or just to interact or be on the show itself, definitely hit that link on my Twitter. Do keep in mind that the 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time show that we have set up as usual, and today, of course, we have TFT Tinfoil Talk, and we will be covering Walt Disney, baby, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. That is coming up. We're not changing that. This is just a little bit of a special. Really looking forward to it, and of course, Nerdarchy, if you haven't heard of them, they are a YouTube channel that's been on. It's Nerds for Nerds, and it's RPG tabletop, of course. I hate that I have to say that, but it is what it is. But RPGs are awesome. You guys know that's one of my favorite things, and that's why this is a Bugbear special. But this is me hosting and helping, so I'm going to turn this over to the actual host of the day, Teresa.
Hi, Chester. Thank you. And thank you, David, for doing this interview for us from Insider Magazine. Now, it says here that Nerdarchy, by nerds, for nerds, one of the largest online communities for role-playing games, and definitely one of the largest YouTube communities. I'm looking here on your Twitter, and it says funny shaped dice enthusiasts for Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games. Can you tell us a little bit maybe about how did you become a role-playing game enthusiast?
Sure. So I've been at this hobby for several decades now. So role-playing games were introduced to me when I was probably like in kindergarten. I remember like one of the older kids in the neighborhood coming around with the red box. And I'm sure like a lot of folks that are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons know the red box I'm talking about.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
iconic. And then like that was my first exposure. That and playing another game that was one of TSR's early games, Gamma World. And I dabbled with those for a little, but it would be like for years later before I really, got into playing role-playing games. And we started with first edition Dungeons and Dragons, and I guess we were like in our tweens, early teens, and during the summer, that's what we do all the time. And with our weekends, we basically play make-believe and roll funny shaped dice. So back then, like the communities were very small and isolated. There wasn't like you were going to your game store to play and you weren't playing online, finding communities. It was whoever was in your school or your neighborhood that happened to be into the game, or maybe you would discover it, with your group of friends, and one of you would suggest it, and you would just kind of like figure it out on your own. Not like today. Today, it's pretty easy. You just, Google or search on YouTube, and there's so much information at your fingertips.
Oh, well, that's great. So how did you go from being such an enthusiast to moving this online?
I actually never really did anything with D&D online until we started Nerdarchy. There was a couple forums I would lurk in from time to time, but I never really equated online and D&D. It wasn't until years later I would get involved with internet marketing, and my mentor now was like, "Hey, you really like this Dungeons and Dragons thing. You should try and turn that into a business venture and do something with that." And not long after that, my brother was moving back into town from Albuquerque back to Philadelphia area, and he's like, "Hey, we should do something on the website or on YouTube about maybe indie board games or something." And that wasn't really my thing. But I was like, you know what, we could start off more generic, and we started poking around, and we found Noah Atweiler, Counter Monkey, at the time, and he had like 30,000 subscribers, which was a huge deal for tabletop role-playing games. And then Andrew Armstrong with Dawnforge Cast had like 20,000 subscribers or something. So I was like, oh, people are doing this online, and people are talking about this. And we're like, well, let's do it. Let's do the thing.
What's some of the practical things that you did to make that happen?
Really, we just started. I mean, literally, when we first started out, we shot our videos on an iPhone with an external iRig mic, and we had no idea what we were doing. There wasn't many people doing it. No one was really doing it at any kind of high level. Like now, I mean, you can't throw a stone on YouTube for RPGs and not find creators that are doing an amazing job and doing things really well. So we basically just kind of fumbled through. And like one of the things that we discovered was there's a group of us, so we just like decided, well, we would take the conversations we were already having about gaming and we would just put them on the internet. So at first we dabbled with the talking head video and we quickly moved away from that to more of a, it's going to be 2, 3, or 4 guys just talking about playing Dungeons and Dragons and other role-playing games. And that seemed to really hit a stride. And we got lucky too, because 5th edition had just released 6 months after we started. And, we weren't even aware that it was coming out. Like we had been dabbling and playing other games, and I had seen a thing about the release of the basic rules. I'm like, oh, they're doing a new D&D. We had played 4th edition a little bit, but had moved into other systems. So I was like, well, let's take a look at this. I feel like we're doing this thing online. We should probably at least look at it. And it turns out that we fell in love with the newest edition, 5e. And so did our audiences. They seemed to really enjoy us talking about it. So they kind of like picked what the channel was going to be about. Because at one point we were just going to talk about generic nerdy stuff, but when we started putting up videos about 5e D&D, people kept watching, so it just seemed like a natural fit.
Well, that's great, and then it just grew from there. I didn't know if Chester had any thing he wanted to add in.
Well, yeah, I would say that those early videos you did were quite charming, actually. You guys have gotten all spit and polish and clean now. But I like those early videos you did, dude. I had a lot of fun with them. I was one of your first viewers, I'd say. Of course, Dorn Forcecast and many of the other guys I've been watching and following forever as well. But I was really happy when you guys came on, and I really enjoyed it because it was very much a down to earth, actual role players, and they're doing you had said over Dorn Forgecast. I mean, he does a very slick production, right? And it's nice. But I think we really enjoyed your guys' just straightforward, fun bunch of friends take at it, and it was a lot of fun. We've enjoyed it for years over here in my house. Matter of fact, you probably don't know this, but many years ago, I actually interacted with you a little bit. I told you a little bit about Domo-kun. You had there in the background that big old brown thing from Docomo, right? And
Yeah.
my wife and I kind of gave you some Japanese information because I live here in Japan. So, but we've actually spoken before.
I vaguely remember that because that was probably about 3 to 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And charming is a very nice way to put it. When I've gone back and listened to some of our videos where it's 3 or 4 of us, it is almost an open brawl.
Yeah, but it was fun though, and of course, for a lot of us, including myself, it's just like we're one of you. You're exactly like we are. So it was just a lot of fun, especially a person my age, because you and I are very similar age, I'd say. And the experiences you guys are bringing out are fun, and of course, your head Nerdarchy guy, I think, is absolutely awesome. I love him. The big guy in the jacket.
The big the
He used to
huh?
be. He was on
Well,
a lot of the. He's younger than you guys. I can't remember his name offhand. Even though I enjoy him so much.
oh, Nate, maybe
Yeah,
Nate.
Nate. Yeah. It's Nate. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that guy. But you got a really good crew over there, man. Very happy to be talking to you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like it's got some really exciting things. Let's imagine I know somebody that's really big into role playing. Where would I send this person to join up with this? Which formats do you have? Which do you recommend a person goes to first?
So, I mean, for us, we're a multi-platform endeavor. We have our YouTube channel, which is what most people know us for, but we also have the website, and we're all over social media. So really, it just depends what exactly you're looking for, because our catalog is about 3,000 deep. And if someone was looking for specific information, a channel search would probably pull up whatever it is they're looking for. Because I feel like we've talked about almost everything probably twice.
Oh, yes. And is there maybe an age limit? For example, if there was a kid in middle school, is it family friendly, or is it more something that you would recommend for over 18s?
I consider our channel PG-13 ish. I mean, we did a convention in Philadelphia, and a gaming convention, and we're running games, and there was this 11-year-old kid there with his dad, Eli, great kid. And he's like, I watch your stuff. I'm subscribed to your channel. And I looked at his dad. I'm like, why are you letting him watch our stuff? He just kind of shrugged.
Yeah. Okay, so PG-13, I think that's a pretty good parental guidance is suggested for certain.
Yeah, barely. Barely. Except if they're doing Gamma World. If they're doing the Gamma World run through, watch out. That's what I'd say.
Yes. So just in general, anytime you have a situation where you've got people, the younger crowd, just parents show prudence and they're like, well, that's great. I saw you also have a Patreon. What kind of features, if someone wanted to join your Patreon, could they enjoy?
So over on Patreon, what we do is we create products monthly for 5e. And we put it there first, and then after it's over there for a month or so, then it goes up on our website. It could be anywhere from like 10 pages of content to 30 pages of content. The one we're working on now is basically a book of NPCs, which is coming along really nicely. So we have that. We have coaching over there if people want that. We do weekly live chats that are just for the patrons. And also, we run monthly games that the patrons, we will randomly select people from there or from our newsletter and put them in that. And we also do monthly giveaways that are not associated with Patreon or YouTube in any way, shape, or form. But if they happen to be a patron, they automatically get entered, and they don't have to go through the rigmarole of going to our website, finding a form, filling it out, and sending it to us.
Okay, that's great. I was going to say, to tag team back with you to Chester.
Uh-huh.
I was going to say, you said that you participate with a lot of these. I didn't know if there was anything you wanted to chime in or ask about far as the Patreon or anything else was concerned.
I do a lot of role-playing stuff online, particularly here on the Fanspeak channel. Tuesdays is our Bugbear's Basement, which I'm Bugbear, by the way. And we run tabletop RPGs on the YouTube every week. Right now, we're in the middle of Vampire the Masquerade campaign, Gehenna Rising. We run 2-hour shows, and one of the things I found really good about YouTube, which is a little bit different what these guys do, but because they simply show the table, and because they can all gather together. Although I've seen them do the Hangouts versions as well. What we do here is I'll have my team, but I will do like a storybook style. I'll use a presentation or a PowerPoint, and I will have a whole bunch of art that I've set up ahead of time, and we will kind of walk through the storybook as the story is going along. It's a little more scripted than a normal game would be, but there's many ways you can do it. Dave had mentioned earlier that the production values are really good, and lots of different people doing different things, and that's our approach, and we have a lot of fun with it, just like these guys do. I do have a comment from the chat though for you, Dave. This is from Edwin Boyette. Now, Edwin is this channel here, Fanspeak. Although we do tabletop role playing, we do video game stuff too. Mainly, this is a comic book channel. We cover a lot of stuff in comic books, and we do every day except for Friday. And of course, over here in this indie revival community, right now there's a big boom going on in indie comic books, yeah. And the voice of our community is Edwin Boyette, and he's in here with us right now. Always honored to have Edwin with us, and he actually had run some D&D stuff himself recently, and he watched some of your videos, and it actually helped him out a lot, he said.
Awesome. We love to hear that. I mean, it's kind of why we do it. So sure. It's good to know it's working.
Yeah. Chester mentioned some of the things that he did like that. Is there anything you'd like to maybe describe for the people listening about a big project in more detail that you all are working on right now?
Well, I mean, currently we have a Kickstarter that's 400% funded
Ooh,
for
very
our
nice.
first physical book out of the box encounters for fifth edition. So that's pretty exciting. Um, we just recently got back from the UK where we basically were giving our own castle to play Dungeons and Dragons in. So that was pretty cool. Gen Con is coming up.
Yep.
Right now, I'm in a weird spot in my life where we're just doing all these cool, amazing things, and I'm just waiting to wake up at some point.
Oh, well, that sounds amazing. I was just got back from Ireland, and I know all about playing in real castles. That's amazing to get to do Dungeons and Dragons in a real castle. It
Yeah,
sounds like every. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it was really cool. So it was me, Ted, and Doug from the channel, and we each ran a table for 6 sessions. And the sixth session, we brought all three tables together and had like this big giant epic encounter, which was amazing. It's something that we've never done before, but to get 17 players together and three dungeon masters all at once and coordinate it, we're like, this is going to be so good, or this is going to be a major cluster F. But it turned out to be so good instead, so that was awesome.
There you go.
That sounds like every nerd's dream.
Yeah, I'm
Amazing.
actually do have the Kickstarter up right now. I'm showing everybody. This is out of the box encounters for fifth edition, right?
It is. That is
Yeah.
correct.
And I'm showing it here to the folks, and we do quite a bit of Indiegogo and Kickstarter things here. Like I said, mainly for comic books, but we go through them. We talk to the creators, and we have a great time doing that over here. And I'm just kind of scrolling through the page here. This is a nice looking page. Who helped you? Who helped you set this up?
So we're working with Tim and James Kearney from Absolute Tabletop and Tabletop Tires. Those guys have been amazing. Kim Van Doon is doing a lot of art for us. Sarah Dallinger did the cover. Daryl T. Jones from Daubers and SplatterInc.com. He's doing our cartography, as well as he did a lot of the assets on the page itself.
Sweet.
Our in-house nerdator Doug, he's our wordsmith, so a lot of the writing stuff, he gets credit for. And then the actual lead designer on this project is Mike Gould. He's been writing on our website for almost from the beginning, and he's a gamer with a ton of experience. Has been playing the game for 30 years, and he has this unique perspective that he brings to out of the box encounters, where he takes the players mindset and perspective into account when he writes these encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And the coolest thing about the book too is it's not going to be 55 combat encounters. It's 55 encounters. So it might be a exploration encounter, it might be a social encounter, it might be a combat encounter, it may be some variation of the three or all three. But we wanted to put together something unique, and the dungeon master could be like, "Oh, I need this thing while they're going through town, or they're on their way to the next adventure, or what, I just need one more encounter for the dungeon that I'm working on." This is something that they'll be able to go to. They'll be able to pull from it. We teamed up with Arknight. They do flat plastic minis, so they're going to be doing the flat plastic minis for us, and map assets as well. We just unlocked the aluminum Nerdarchy custom dice with Norse Foundry.
Ooh,
So
nice.
we got a lot of fun, cool things going on over there.
Yeah, I saw those acetates down the bottom of the page. That's pretty cool. Those things are pretty handy. A lot of people like miniatures or go home, but I don't agree. I think you can do all kind of stuff. But I also remember the old Marvel superhero role playing game. Remember how in the back of the box they had the little triangular shaped standees you could put up and play your superheroes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Matt, it's funny you should mention that. We did 2 seasons of Marvel Phase Rip on our channel at one point. We actually teamed up with another YouTube channel, Comic Book University. Professor Bill over there does a ton of great comic book content. He was the I think it's a referee. Is it a referee for that game? I don't remember. But yeah, he was the game master and ran it. So we did 2 different seasons. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are fun. And just keep in mind, I mean, I guess this is more for an off-channel conversation, but we do here at Fanspeak, we have access to an absolutely enormous stable of professional comic book artists, dude. So if you guys need art, or you're looking for art, I got people you could hire. So if you're ever looking for that, just let me know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
David, you mentioned Gen Con. That's the big holy grail for gamers. What kind of epic things do you have planned for Gen Con?
The mecca of gamers. So Gen Con, I'm part of another brand called Save or Dice. We live stream games weekly and have a podcast. So we'll be doing a live game for that there. We will also be doing, I'm not sure if it's going to be me or Ted yet. It's the Team Phoenix had invited us to play in one of our games. But for the most part, we're just going to be cruising around, hanging out, looking for fans, and just enjoying Gen Con.
Oh, that's great. So if, let's say I'm a big fan of Nerdarchy, where could I find you at Gen Con? How can
In
I
the
find
wilds.
you? In the wild.
In the wilds. Well, for 10 a.m. Thursday, there's the game with Satine Phoenix that's going on. And then at 3 p.m. on Friday is the Save or Dice game. Those are two centralized locations that will be able to be found.
Okay, so the fans would want to be tuning into your Twitter and other places to get their notifications.
Media.
Yep. It's great to hear. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share? Is there anything that maybe that I haven't brought up or that Chester hasn't brought up that you really want people listening to know about your community?
For one, the D&D community in and of itself is amazing. It's one of the most like welcoming and open communities on YouTube or on the internet in general. There can be a lot of toxicity in other fandoms, but in the D&D one, I feel like it's an exception. And then the Nerdarchy community itself has been really great. Getting to meet everyone, play with people, play games with people from all over the world. Our philosophy for Nerdarchy is, we're not here to tell people how to play the game. We just tell them how we play it. And there's no wrong way. It's just a matter of what's right for you and your particular group of friends and how you want to enjoy the game. And that's the great thing about role-playing games in general is it's not one size fits. It is one size fits all because you can customize it to make it whatever your needs are.
Yeah. Yeah, if I can interject in that, if I may, I agree 100% with you. I'm coming more from the tabletop role playing and board gaming world. Actually, of course, as everybody knows, the board gaming world is going through an amazing golden age that's been going on for over a decade. And coming from that community, come over here to the comic books, which I'm very happy to be involved with. There is a lot of toxicity over here in the surrounding that, and I understand they're kind of at war. Now, this channel doesn't deal with that. We just talk about comics and how much we love them and pop culture and stuff like that. But you're absolutely correct, dude. The tabletop gaming community is very friendly and opening, and there's I didn't see any toxicity actually. I'm sure there must be, but it is something I've noticed is very different from come over starting to do the comic book stuff, for sure.
Yeah, we're definitely lucky because we seem to dodge the bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I see all the time people of all ages and all generations just enjoying and interacting with Dungeons and Dragons. It seems like there's just something, if you'll pardon the expression, magical about it. The camaraderie and the like. Is there anything you maybe want to expound upon about what is it about that very special magic that makes maybe Dungeons and Dragons different from other games?
I don't know if it's because like it started off like we're all finally coming out of the basement and we were kind of like the underdogs, the nerds, the people that got picked on. I don't know if that helps or if it's the fact that with a game like Dungeons and Dragons, right? You enjoy it with a group of people. You interact with a group of people. You're telling a collaborative story with a group of people. Where a lot of these other fandoms, you can just enjoy it by yourself. But D&D by yourself isn't a thing, right? There's nothing there to enjoy. There's nothing there. Like you can't have this experience without other people. So it's a social experience to begin with.
Well, no, that's amazing. It's not an uncommon sight if you go around, especially where you might see some younger people in colleges, and like they're on their lunch break, they're between classes, and they all break out of big Dungeons and Dragons, and
Sure.
it's like, speaking of magic, just like Superman changing into his suit, and then they play and the bell rings and then they go off to the other one. I think that's it's just so unique, and it's just so nice to see.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, one of the coolest things about what we do is when people come to our channel, and they leave comments like, "Hey, your channel is the reason why I got into Dungeons and Dragons and playing role playing games." Or the other thing that we love seeing is people that haven't been in the hobby for 10, 20 years, and they're like, "Oh, I'm finally coming back to the hobby. I saw your channel, and it convinced me to come back." So like for us, that's like, that's why we do this. Like that's like the holy grail. That, and like occasionally, like we do this silly thing where we talk about role playing games and being adults, rolling funny shaped dice and playing make believe. But then, like once in a while, you'll get this email or this message somewhere, and it's like, "Hey, I was in a really dark place in my life, and it was your channel that helped get me through." Or, I was dealing with my friend that committed suicide, or I was dealing with, the death of a loved one, and like these really like hard hitting, deep things. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just this goofy dude that likes to play these funny games. And then when you get something like that, it changes your perspective on what you're doing.
That must be absolutely amazing to be told that and know that without even perhaps being aware that you're making that kind of a difference in someone's life.
And it is like, the gravity, of those messages is when you get them, and the first one you get, and then after you've been doing it for a while, you've gotten several of them, and then you understand that what you're doing is actually more important than you thought.
Oh, for sure. I was going to say, you talked about, we know that Gen Con's coming up. What's the next few months look like? What's the next big event after Gen Con?
So we got is coming up at the end of D&D. Then hanging out over there, going as an attendee, as well as PAX Unplugged is right in our backyard. So we feel guilty if we don't go to that one. So yeah, the next few months are pretty full.
Oh, well, that sounds great. Well, I really wanted to thank you for your time, David, for coming on and telling us a little bit about everything that you all are doing. It sounds like it's really exciting. And for anyone listening, or I'm thinking, I know exactly where to send somebody if they are interested. This is great.
It is very exciting. I can't believe it's my life sometimes. So
that's a dream come true, to be able to do what you love.
Well, absolutely.
I did have another question
thank you
for
for
you.
having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh no, absolutely, it's quite
anytime.
exciting. I do have a question for you before we get out of here, though, if you don't mind. I
Chester,
remember.
I didn't know what we had planned next.
I'm sorry, what, Teresa?
Well, how's this? I guess it's the Teresa Martin channel now.
Why, you can't hear me now. Okay.
I'll still take over. Little flower power. From here on out, it's going to be flowers. That's my thing. I will say this, that I do personally know a lot of young people that love these tabletop games. I was going to say there you are,
hear
Chester.
Me now. Yeah, no, I had a little bit of mic difficulty. That's okay. But I did have a question for Dave, if I might, before we get out of here. I remember back in the 70s when we started playing these games, and of course, one of the first things we did was chainmail, which didn't really translate, but into what we have now. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about the evolution of role-playing games, if you don't mind, because, like I said, I remember back when we started playing D&D when it shifted over from the chainmail, and it was a lot of fun. We were having a good time with it, and then of course we got the advanced D&D, and then of course the kind of the pseudo translation into second edition, and then of course we had the third, and then 3.5, and then fourth, which we we shall not talk about, and then of course this amazing fifth edition. But for just D&D itself, of course, role-playing games all the whole way along have been evolving as well. But it's really interesting because back in the 70s, we didn't have any kind of real resources. All we had was a book and ourselves and pencils and papers and stuff like that and our own imagination. But as time has gone by, the amount of resources and amount of things available to us is just becoming, I think, breathtaking. What we have available, not only having YouTube channels like yourself, which can help educate and teach people how to go about it and give them a hand, but just in general with products and supplementaries and stuff like that. I just kind of curious on your opinion because I know you've been playing since the beginning as well. And what do you think about the evolution of tabletop role playing, dude?
I love it. And as I get older, the more rules light and less crunchy mechanics I actually want to play. And I feel like so the game kind of evolved to get more granular, more crunchy with the rules. Like the in the 80s, the epitaph of a really good role playing game was the number of charts and tables it had.
Right.
And and now we're getting into more rules light. Like fifth edition is the lightest version of the game. I still wouldn't call it rules light, but compared to third edition, it certainly is, which is great because it makes it more accessible to people playing the game and getting into it for the first time. When I was in the UK playing D&D in a castle, I actually got to revisit first edition. Stefan Picorni was there from Dwarven Forge, and he always runs first edition when he runs. So that was really kind of cool to go back and kind of see that more simplistic version of the game. And to be playing fifth edition now, which is kind of like a hybrid of like the sensibilities of that simplicity with some of the more interesting rules from the later editions added into it,
Sure.
into the mix. So I love where it's going. And not only that, though, it doesn't matter what your style is and what kind of games you want to play. There is a game for you. There is a version out there of a role-playing game, whether we're talking about the genre or the type of rules you want, that is going to suit you. You just have to look and find out which one matches up to your tastes.
Yeah. Oh, well, what do you think, other than D&D? What is your favorite system? I mean, we got things like Steve Jackson's GURPS. We have, of course, the Hero system. We got the Cthulhu stuff. You even got some obscure stuff like Heroes Unlimited and et cetera, et cetera. Other than D&D, what would you consider to be your favorite system?
Probably Mutants and Masterminds, hands down.
Uh,
It's That's kind of like when we went away from D&D. That's kind of what we started playing, and we played fantasy superheroes. We even ran like a Dresden Files style game
mhm.
based off of that system. So we've had a lot of fun with that. And like I said, we've gone back and played Marvel Phase Rip on our channel,
Yeah.
um, which was a ton of fun as well. We've played Fate. We've played Cipher System. Honestly, like I don't actually generally care what the system is. I'm more interested in who am I playing with.
Good point. All right. Well, you got other questions here, Teresa?
No, I was just telling David, just thank you for your time. I really learned so much from this, and I think that a lot of people by tuning in will as well. It's, I, it sounds really exciting. I can't wait to dig into more of what you all have to have online to dig deeper into all this.
A year or two, you'll be through it all, I'm sure. We are prolific, if nothing else. Other channels out there decide to do things really well. We just did a lot of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and that's the most fun. Do what you love, and people will come.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I'm very happy to have you on the channel here, Dave. Matter of fact, I think I would love, and I'm sure my guys as well, especially on the Tuesday show, which is our Bugbear's Basement normal place, is on the Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But we'd love to have you and a few of the guys come back, and we can have some kind of big old nerd off. I think it'll be wonderful. But I was very happy to have you on the show today, dude. I've been looking forward
Sure,
to actually
absolutely.
talking to you. And
Anytime.
Yeah, birds of a feather, I'd say. But and it's cool for me too because I don't get to talk about RPG stuff very much, and of course today was very truncated as well. But that's all right. But yeah, all right, Teresa. Thank you very much for coming on here. Of course, guys, this is with Pixel Traders Indicron and the Insider, right? What are you guys calling that right now? This the new magazine. I know I'm going to be doing some stuff with it, but give us that plug again, please, Teresa.
It's Inciter, as in INCITER.
Mhm.
It you can find it for now. There is a Twitter that's after being set up, and let me double check that right here because I don't want to give it out incorrectly. Yes, it's at Inciter Mag, INCITER, capital MAG. Stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot of exciting things coming up.
Yeah, and of course, as you guys know, here in this community. This is one of Trader's babies. His Indicron, of course, you guys know that Pixel Trader helped me to set up this channel. Of course, Indicron is a sponsor of this channel. And we're really happy to see Pixel moving forward with all the different ideas he had, not only stuff he's doing with Cautionary Comics, but of course, this Insider Mag, which sounds really exciting. And there's a lot of good stuff to get in the community. And it's nice to see that they're expanding beyond just the comic books because we should. And that is absolutely awesome. Thanks again to Pixel and thanks you again to Teresa as well. Do keep in mind, guys, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do have our TFT today, Tinfoil Talk, and we will be talking about Walt Disney and the conspiracies that surround him and how he is an American hero, baby. We're definitely going to be getting into that. But thank you very much for being here, Dave. That was absolutely awesome. And we'll have a bunch of people, I'm sure, to be commenting, Chester, what is this? And Chester will be happy to tell them, man. But other than that, let me go over here and I'm going to show off the Indiegogo and the page real quick. If you guys are interested, here is their page, Nerdarchy on YouTube. It's a great place. They're almost 100,000 subs. Congratulations on that, dude. And they have tons of stuff here. If you're interested in role playing in any way, you can find stuff here. These guys are prolific. I mean, truly prolific. And I've been watching them with my family for years and years. And this is a great place to go. And when they have that 100,000 sub party, I'll certainly be there while watching live if they do that. But also do keep in mind that at the top of the page there you can see it. But they also have an Indiegogo going on right now, which is a
Kickstarter.
product. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a Kickstarter.
Sorry,
on
Kickstarter. Sorry, we're used to Indiegogo over here with the comic books, but yeah, it's Kickstarter. But this is ongoing. Of course, you guys see it's in yen, but this is $85,000 they got up here, which is awesome. And it's great to see them having success. These guys have put out stuff before as well. But definitely go check out this page. It's very professional. And of course, you guys know when we cover all the different crowdfunding stuff, we're always sticklers on them being professional looking. And of course, these guys are doing a great job. But other than that, thank you guys very much for coming in and joining us. And Teresa, go ahead and give your last words, and then we'll end it with Dave.
Oh, well, once again, thank you very much for all of this. And stay tuned for Insider. Everything you need to know about all the fun stuff that's going on right now.
Sweet. Dave?
Yep, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. I'm Dave from Nerdarchy, for Nerds by Nerds. And like we like to say over on Nerdarchy, until next time, stay nerdy.
Sweet. All right, I'm going to run an outro, guys. Here we go. Later, everybody.
Thank you.